Welcome to Orioles on the Verge. This is Zach Spedden, joined as always by Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens. And on tonight's episode, we are joined by Orioles Vice President of International Scouting and Operations, Koby Perez, to help us learn a little bit more about the Orioles' two Dominican Summer League squads, which just got underway last week. But first, this episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are delicious, low sugar, brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. All IQ Bar products are packed with clean, delicious ingredients that keep you physically and mentally fit, like magnesium, lion's mane, and more. With over 25,000 five-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ bars, brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all three. IQ bars become part of my daily routines, whether it's starting my morning with IQ Joe, grabbing an IQ bar or IQ mix to refuel or rehydrate after a hard workout. And right now, all IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text MLB to 64,000. Text MLB to 64,000. That's MLB to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the Orioles Dominican Summer League season got underway last week. And here to help us learn more about the prospects that are down the DR this year is Koby Perez, the Orioles Vice President of International Scouting and Operations. Koby, it's good to have you back on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. And we just want to start off that this year's class was notable in a lot of respects. Multiple players receiving seven-figure dollar signing bonuses. Also, multiple top 50 prospects in this class, including the consensus top pitcher and left-hander Andre Hidalgo. At what point did you know that this was going to be the strategy for this group of players and get the sense that this was going to be a pretty big class for the organization?
Yeah, as you guys know, we start working on these kids a lot of years in advance. So this year we felt that we found players that were of the upside to require or for us to compete for these players with those types of signing bonuses. And we were in the mix, for a couple of years now, and we were fortunate to land the group we did.
Nice. The top of that class there was Jose Luis Acevedo. I believe he did edge out Luis Almeida in terms of the highest or the largest signing bonus you guys have given to an international prospect. We've yet to see him debut in the DSL yet, but I know the scouting reports around signing day all noted, strong hit tool, a lot of standout defense, and what some considered a pretty strong class of defensive shortstops this year. And I think there's even one quote I saw from a scout that said they watched like 35 at bats of his and he didn't strike out once. So what stood out to you all when scouting Acevedo, and what is he going to bring to this organization?
Yeah, with him, we really like the all around tool set, the all around skill set. I watched him a bunch in preseason games, and he just looks like a player who is kind of above the league, just um, uh, baseball savvy wise. He's very baseball playery. He's like a shortstop in the true nature of the word, not just tools wise, but kind of a leader on the field. He's positioning other players where they need to go. And he's kind of one of those guys that you say was kind of like born to play shortstop. It's almost like the quarterback position where they just have a good internal clock, feel for the game. And then on top of that, he's very toolsy, and we think he's going to hit. So, we were happy to be able to acquire him, especially since many teams were interested in him as well.
Yeah, just a general question for me first is it's always exciting when you announce the players that were, when they're signing bonuses and then we wait like 6 months, and then once they start popping up in box scores, and thankfully because of the YouTube channel, the Dominican Complex YouTube channel, which is amazing. Get to watch them, get to see video of them, and then it's like you're discovering them all over again from our standpoint, a fan standpoint. Is there any way the FCL could get something like that? I don't know if you have any connections there, but
I'll see what I can do.
it's cool to just see a bunch of new names and then discover these guys, and it's awesome just to be able to follow them from age 16, 17, and hopefully all the way up to make their major league debut. But just a cool thing going. I guess not even much of a question, but just wanted to say that. Another big player, Ariel Roque, or Roque, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, doesn't seem to lack the confidence. And to highlight his athleticism, some reports suggested if he was a U.S. high school student, he'd be one of the top running back prospects in the country, that type of athleticism. What type of player do you envision him potentially developing into? And is his personality as loud and fun as we think/hope it is?
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Had he been in the U.S., he might have been playing football. Just a very toolsy kid. He runs well. He's a strong kid. Very athletic body. There's a little bit of crudeness to his game, but it's something that we're hoping that we can harness and help him become a five tool player. He definitely has all the desire to do that. He's a hard worker, and we think he's got a chance to be a premium center fielder. As long as he stays healthy and everything goes well. He didn't start the first few games. He slid in. He's super aggressive, so he slid in and he kind of like jammed one of his fingers. But I think he's back in the lineups now.
Just watching that first week, one guy that stood out to us was Luis Diaz, a 16-year-old catcher that was part of January's class. It looks like there's some power there, and it's always interesting for us to see a player that young getting as much exposure as he is in the Dominican Summer League right now. Can you give us a little bit more background on him? Because this was not a guy that we had a lot of reports about coming out of January's class. And from what we're seeing so far in a pretty limited sample size, he looks like a pretty interesting player.
Who was the player? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Luis Diaz.
Oh, Diaz, the catcher. Yeah, he's a catcher out of Venezuela. He, really toolsy guy. He hit for us a lot in tournaments that we were able to see him in Venezuela and Colombia. Really good makeup guy. He is an extremely hard worker, and we think he's one of those sleeper kids that can get up the line and be a good two-way player.
How are you guys able to find so many excellent catching prospects internationally? There's no shortage. Yasmel Buche, Andres Nolaya. I mean, you can go up and down the system internationally and as well as domestically. Is that something you guys put a lot of focus on?
Yeah, definitely. We try to focus a lot on the premium positions, which is obviously catcher, shortstop, center field, left-handed pitcher. So we anytime we see one or two tools that stand out, we really go hard on those guys. But so do 29 other clubs. So
Right.
there's times where we will, rather than getting, let's say, the 30th best catcher in the class, would rather get like the third or fourth best left fielder or first baseman. So you got to really put it on a balance and figure out what the best strategy is and where the market is taking you.
Nice. We can't have you on without talking about Andre Hidalgo real quick, just because considered by some to be the top pitching prospect in last year's international class, not just among the Orioles signings, but the entire international class. You guys gave him near $700,000, around a $700,000 signing bonus. Pretty shocking for a lot of Orioles fans, especially considering how quickly this organization has developed the international efforts. But to see you guys invest so heavily in a pitcher like this, especially a young pitcher like Hidalgo, what is he bringing into the organization here in this first year?
Yeah, no, we're super excited about him. I'm sorry, this thing's automatic.
No worries.
There it is. I got to move around so it doesn't shut off. But Andre, everything that I've seen about him online and everything, it's true. This guy's a very good looking prospect. I mean, he's already touched 99.3 miles an hour or something like that. He's able to sit sometimes 95, 96. Very easy. It's very easy delivery. He's a 6'4", maybe 6'5", left-handed starter prospect with a really good shapes on his slider and changeup. Obviously, we're going to be real careful with that type of arm strength on a kid that's maybe 180 pounds. They're really careful with him. He's doing great. I just saw him throw a bullpen the other day. He looks fantastic. And a lot of times when they're young like that, we got to try to harness their command because they can get excited about the numbers and keep going for more and more rather than, pitching. But, it's something that they're working really hard with him down there. And he's one of the prospects we're super excited about, and is one that can easily shoot up boards quick.
Yeah, hope so. Hope so. I'm excited for him to get out there and pitch on that first stream game that we get to watch. But to kind of zoom out a little bit more in the organization as a whole, I wanted to ask. Last year, it's early in his FCL campaign, but Wilfred De La Cruz, the Cubs got him for more than $2 million last year. It comes over in the Andrew Kittredge trade. We've seen a couple of guys come over via trade or even like the minor league Rule 5 process, where guys were you guys were in on beforehand, but they signed elsewhere. But then eventually, you guys get to bring them into the organization. Was that the case with De La Cruz? Was he somebody you guys heavily scouted before he signed with the Cubs?
We saw him a lot, but it was way before we were able to acquire him. So I might have seen him, and our staff might have seen him till he was around 14 years old, and then he disappeared for a little bit. I don't know what happened, but we were able to acquire him in a trade. So we're happy to get him. We knew about him. We knew his makeup. We knew he was a good-looking kid, and we're excited about him. Since you're on the trade thing, Yaki Rivera, man, I'm really excited about Yaki.
Yes.
Well, so
Yeah, I see he's been, I don't know if it's out of necessity, but I noticed he's even started like 3 games with AAA Norfolk. And is he pure reliever, or is there a chance he could build up a little bit?
I'll say one thing: he's a pitcher. He's a pitcher. He can pitch. He knows how to get outs. He's very savvy out there. He mixes his pitches well. Whether he's a starter or a reliever, that's gonna, a lot of it. When you're in the situation we're in Baltimore here, it's going to be what do we need? What do we
Right.
need right now that can help our team win? And he's looking like the type of player that at some point might be able to help.
Yeah, no, that definitely seems that way. We love what we've seen from him for years now, but especially the way he's developed into this year. And another type of prospect that I mean, we've been following along. We're new. When you guys came in, we saw from the inception of this international program. That's when we were basically learning all this stuff too. But 7 or 8 years in now, and we're still discovering new things. Like there's a type of prospect that has seemed to come about this year where they were on our radar early. They kind of fell off a little bit, had a couple down year or two, but because they're so young, they're able to still bounce back and become a quote unquote prospect again, like Frederick Bencosme. He's having a great year. Anderson De Los Santos, Braylon Tavera, even Elvin Garcia a little bit, even though that was mostly injury related. It's just cool to see these guys, and they're still like 21, 22 years old. How typical is that? Is that something that is going to stick around? And is that like the benefit of getting these guys in the system so young and being able to work with them?
Yeah. So this I've been doing this job a long time, and one of the things I know, it's not many guys like Samuel Basayo, Vlad Jr., Tati, like these guys. You'll get one a year maybe, or one every 2 or 3 years from all 30 clubs
Right.
that are superstar potential guys. But the majority of them are going to be guys like Ben Cosme, guys like Anderson De Los Santos, You didn't mention him, but Yeber Cartaya is a guy
Yes.
that we're
Yep.
excited about
Absolutely.
that hasn't really been mentioned in the prospect circles. But yeah, this is it, man. And the one thing where I tell young people who ask me, and other younger scouts from other orgs who try to pick my brain is. Um, Patience. You got to have patience, because what happens is we've signed these kids uh, 5 6 years ago, and we see the name in the box score, and we go, man, this guy, like, I've seen it for 4 or 5 years in a row, and then boom, all of a sudden you get Braylon starting to figure his body out, starting to you know swing and miss less, understanding that if he's going to be a big leaguer, he needs to improve on that. He needs to make some changes. You see Ben Cosme getting a little bit stronger. You see Cartaya throwing up to 99 now. All these guys, and then it happens. You know what I mean? A lot of times with Latin American kids, they don't spend very much time in double and triple A. They'll spend a whole bunch of time in low A, high A. They get to double A, and if they're going to be guys, usually they take right off, because they kind of figured they've always had the tools, they've always had the skill set. It's just learning how to be a baseball player, and trying to help teams win. So, once that happens, and it happens a lot of times in that high A level, um, double A, early on double A level. So now you're looking at a guy like Ben Cosme, who's a shortstop. He's now learning how to play all different positions for whatever, whenever he's needed for whatever, and he's putting together quality at bats. He's got the ability to hit a home run. He's got the ability to steal a base. So, like, those are the type of players that we want to try to develop. Because we know we're not going to get the Samuel Basayo every year. Those guys don't come along that often.
Yeah.
No.
Is
Yeah.
that kind of the the biggest thing for people like us? And I can tell you there are a lot more and more Orioles fans seemingly every year who become more invested in this whole process. More people who are eagerly watching those DSL streams to get looks on guys. Is that kind of the biggest thing you would say from like a fan perspective is when it comes to their development and comparing that to the guys like Ike Irish and Vahiva Loy who the Orioles just took in the first round? Is it that patient aspect when trying to evaluate these guys?
Yeah, yeah, you have to have patience, and they'll flash things where we all get excited about. They'll throw 100, 101 miles, and we're all, wow, this guy, he's the next. But they still got Samuel Basayo still has a whole bunch of work to do. He's helping us in the major leagues right now, but in a perfect world, you'd want him to do improve on certain things in his game like anyone else. He's 21, but so those some kids will have to finish off in the major leagues just because their skill set will allow them to do that. But yeah, I think patience is really important for understanding how this works. Um, and then there's other guys. When I was with Cleveland, we did a deal or we signed a junior Caminero over there, and he's another guy that you know is still learning how to play third base in the major leagues. You know what I mean? But he had 45 home runs next, so they'll live with the third base. I wish the Guardians would have traded him to another division and not to my division.
Yeah. One of those, like, the bat is too good to keep him down to work on things. You'll just have to do it at the major league level type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, figure it out.
And speaking of Samuel Basayo, I mean, what a dream come true. Just awesome to see him not only fly up and make it to the majors at a young age, sign an extension. He wants to be here. He's staying here. I think he's proven already that he's a Rookie of the Year contender. Like you said, still things to work on. Can't wait to see what he's like at 24, 25 years old. But right now, he's killing it. Does something like that, does having him in the organization right now, I know when you're signing guys and talking to guys, it's so far out, but does that help with recruiting at all? Just be like, look, we've proven that we can do it. Here's what you could be potentially if all things go right. Is that helpful?
100%. Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, I just went down there for. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to move around a little more.
Yeah, good.
Um, 100%. Yeah, I just went down there. We had a nice meeting before opening day. Uh, Albie, our manager, sent a nice video to those kids, just saying, "Hey, we're counting on you guys here in a few years. So
Nice.
let's get to work." So that was really nice of Albie to do. And we stress it. He was like, "Hey, this kid was just here. You know what I mean? It was 4 or 5 years ago. He was just, he was and if he can do it, you can do it. You know what I mean? So it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take, you know, less distractions outside the baseball field and work really hard at it. But it can be done. It's proven, and our system is going to try to help you get there as prepared as possible. So 100% definitely helps our whole operation to see one of ours kind of get to the big leagues and help the major league team win.
It's crazy. Yeah, I still remember when we first saw, I think it was the Instagram video he shared his first term run or something in the DSL. We were talking to each other behind the scenes like, oh my God, did you see that? Look at the power this kid's got. And now here he is.
Given that there's, as you've talked about before, that you cultivate relationships with these prospects for years, leading up to them signing with the organization. Once a player is in the system, how much communication do you or your team continue to have with them as they move up the ladder?
No, it's super important. Super important. We have communication with them. Every me personally, I go to every affiliate. I have a chat with each kid. How are they feeling? How are they doing? Our scouts are in constant contact with our players. Just to see what they're working on and things that they can improve on. That we see as scouts. I remind our kids, hey, you're with the Orioles, but there's someone always watching. We've had, a handful of kids already from our system traded. Um, so it's like, hey, listen, man, our goal is to get you here to help the Baltimore Orioles, win a World Series. But there's times that we may need to use you to get that goal, in the short term rather than the long term. So um, we still would love to see you um, in the major leagues, even if it's in another uniform. As long as we feel that the player we get in return is a piece that can help us now. So we have those conversations. We're always telling them you're always being watched, and you work hard because it's your future, and you know you you create a calling card, a reputation every time you go on the field. So we always constantly remind them of the scout perspective of how things look and how things can be perceived. So we definitely stay in touch with those guys.
And it's
And we'll now
even
head.
cool
Oh,
that,
good.
sorry, Zach, I was going to say,
Mhm.
it's so cool to me to see like Noel Romero and Elia Prado didn't make it as players, but they're in the system now as coaches, and they were part of that first Andrew Kashner trade back in 2019. Just awesome to see the circle of life.
Yeah, no, those guys are both really helpful, and I think they're really going to help our system. Really good kids. They understand the system. They're able to help our players understand things when they don't understand. Matter of fact, I was just down there, I had a meeting, and I did bring them up. I said, hey, those guys we got out of the DSL. It's because our scouts saw something in them. So like this is the DSL, but they're watching. We've gotten asked on a whole bunch of kids out of the DSL every year. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we're trying to hang on as long, if we can. But there's going to be a couple trades where we're going to need something from, and then even Dela Cruz we got out of the DSL. So um, there's going to be a time where we're going to want to make a move. But yeah, it's the same thing we're bringing up, man. You got to impress. There's always you go to a DSL game in the DR. I was just there. There's 4 or 5 scouts from other clubs watching our clubs. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, you're always being watched. We want you to hustle. We want you to play hard and behave and all those types of things because you build a reputation around the game and you want you want yours to be good. So, let's work hard, and they're doing a good job. I saw a handful of games, so um, excited about the way it's going.
Love it. And I just have one more question for me. I know it's kind of hard to speak about. I don't know what you can and can't speak about it yet, and there's a lot of unknown. But obviously, looking at the collective bargaining and what's ahead as far as like Major League Baseball is concerned, and what could change with the draft and the minors and the international signing period and the whole thing. Do you have a sense of like? Is there some aspect of the international signing period, whether it be the draft or some sort of change? Is there something that you feel passionately about that you'd like to see change in this entire process or evolve in this entire process that you think would be a benefit to the players and organizations?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much of an opinion on that. It's above my pay grade. I don't know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Like, who knows what will happen? But whatever happens, we're gonna adjust. You know what I mean? We are in a good situation where our scouts are solid, and our front office is pretty savvy with the approach that we would like to take. So if it happens to be a draft, we feel like we're in a pretty good position to do that well, and we feel pretty good about some of the results that we're starting to get with the free agent market internationally. So I feel like whatever happens, we'll adjust and have to try to continue providing good results here.
We'll now head to our last question, which is last call brought to you by Checker Spot Brewing, located at 1421 Ridley Street. Checker Spot is not far from Camden Yards, making it the perfect place for a pre or post game drink. If you don't have tickets to the game, though, Checker Spot is open 7 days a week with plenty of good food and drink, as well as televisions. They're located at 1421 Ridley Street in South Baltimore. And also check out their social media for details about this Saturday's 8th anniversary party. You will not want to miss that. And our last question here, Koby, is about some of the players who are pushing the major leagues right now. As we touched on this discussion, Samuel Basallo is making a big impact in the major leagues right now. Of the other prospects that have been signed by your department originally or perhaps acquired through trade, in the case of a guy like Yaki Rivera, of the prospects that are having success at the high levels in the minors now, who do you believe that we could see in the majors this year?
Yeah, there's two guys in particular. I may have touched on it with some others, but Aaron Estrada, he had a rough start to his double A. I think he's trying to do too much coming out of big league camp, but I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see. He's kind of a pure hitter. He's a very good hitter from both sides of the plate. His last month has been, what we think of him as really good hitter. His power's coming along good. He's playing more consistently at second base. So again, still a work in progress, but it's the type of bat that can help you win games. You know what I mean? That's how we feel, and we're going to continue to develop him as much as we can. But there could be a point where the bat is needed. So we'll see what happens. He continues to work hard defensively. Um, I know he's in constant contact with Miguel Cairo and the infield group, working hard. But he is a player that we might, who knows what'll happen. I mean, we got good second basemen right now in the big league, so you know what I mean. But again, you never know what can happen. But they're preparing him to be a big leaguer. So uh, is it this year? Is it next year? We don't know. I know he's had a rough go about it, but Luis De Leon's in Double A. His stuff is good. It's really good, and a couple of his box scores haven't been as bad as it looks. But he's another player that it's left-handed. It's a plus slider. It's mid to high 90s, and there come situations where you bring up the guy with your best stuff. Let's go. Get it together. So I don't know what'll happen. Again, the situations will dictate, but those two guys are capable of playing in the major leagues as soon as this year, in my opinion.
Huge Aaron Estrada fans on this podcast as the lights go out. Again, all good.
I should have taken this call at home.
I'd be remiss if I let you go without asking about Steven Martinez, who we're very high on him as well. And we kind of take the cues from you guys, the front office, when we see a 17-year-old in low A last year and just let him struggle. Like, just let him figure it out. He comes back this year, cuts his strikeout rate by like 10, 15%. Can just see the potential there. Is one of the strategies like get them up to a higher level, let them struggle so they can figure it out on their own?
Yeah, I think last year, up over here we were kind of like, let's just leave him in Florida. He's 17, and then others said, you know what, let him get a taste of it, just so he knows what he's getting into next year. And I think that ended up being the right move. He got there, he saw what it's like, and I think it helped him his off season so he can prepare for this year. I mean, the tools are obvious. They're there. It's just about, is he able to put everything together and move up the line? So so far he's doing a good job in low A, and he's another one that if he figures everything out, he can be a quick mover as well. So yeah, going good there.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Koby, for joining us.
Yeah, anytime, man. I enjoy coming on with you guys, and believe me, I definitely watch your stuff. I look at your
appreciate
Twitter.
that.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys get dope before I get dope, man. You guys are good.
We try.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.